Jason just got done with a live. Can you all hear me okay? We're gonna give it a minute, let the algos take it out. All right. How is everyone this morning? Let me know in the chat. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Is there any ease and grace entering into your life? Let me know. There's the notification going out. Yay, okay. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Is there any... Okay, we've got sound. We're mic'd up. Yay, yay. I'm gonna let the algos take it out. Teresa, thank you for the gift of tea that you gifted me. I saw that this morning. Thank you so much. Ashley's here. Hello, Ashley. How are you? How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? It's been a whirlwind. How was that eclipse portal for everybody? Oh my goodness, right? So, Tress, I'm not drinking tea, but I have lemon water here, and I think you're a big fan of lemon water. Has anybody ever tried, like in the morning, warm? Okay, so it's lemon water with, I put some sun fiber supplement in there, which I really like. And then I put a little bit of honey, local honey, and then I put a little bit of apple cider vinegar in there. And it's, you know what, it really helps me? The apple cider vinegar actually takes care of my acid reflux that I tend to get with this phase of my life. Yeah. Ashley says, I'm doing really well, but it's definitely been a whirlwind. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. So I have the lemon water. I have the coffee, organic coffee. This is called Peace Coffee, I think. It's a medium roast. I tend to like, when I drink coffee, I tend to like the Guatemalan beans and the Colombian beans. Those are my favorite. I like that medium. And some days I just need that cup of joe. Whew. Apple cider vinegar is great for bloating. Yeah, that's another thing. And I noticed what I was doing to myself. You know those like fizzy water drinks like Spindrift and LaCroix and those things? Like, I was like having one of those like after dinner, and it was just like the carbonation was just making me feel so bad. I had to just switch over to water, just regular plain water, filtered water, after dinner now. So anything fizzy just makes me feel too bloated. I also really like turmeric. Do you guys ever try turmeric? For like bloating and inflammation. I think turmeric really helps. And there was like, I guess if you mix the turmeric with like cayenne pepper or black pepper, and I make a little concoction and then I fill the little capsules and I take those sometimes too. I need to make more of them because I made a whole bottle of homemade capsules with the cayenne and the turmeric. I mean, you could put it in your food too, but sometimes, like, you know, just to get it in quickly, I put it in a capsule and make my own. So what do you guys take? Are you a supplement person? Some people are not. Some people don't take supplements, but some of the supplements I take are really just food. They're like superfoods. They're not what I would call, you know, like some sort of synthetic supplement or something, but how is everyone? Say hello in the chat. Let me know. Got some people here. What are we doing today? What are we going to do today? Well, first of all, hello. Welcome to Creators on the Crest. My name is Stephanie. And here at Creators on the Crest, our motto is we rise with the tide and align with the truth. And so we're going to go into some of the spiritual aspects of things today. We're going to pull some cards. We're going to do some readings. And today's theme is around trees. And it was really, really interesting how the theme all came about, because I was like not getting, like all week, usually I get a download, you know, of like, what am I gonna talk about on Friday? And the astrology right now is a little bit quiet. And so And after that eclipse, I'm kind of glad that eclipse season portal, that 2 week long portal, I'm kind of glad. So now is a really good time to integrate. And I thought, well, what better way to integrate energetically than to connect with trees and get grounded in and integrate the things that we've just learned over this eclipse portal that happened. We do have still astrological things happening, but we're kind of in this short phase of like getting a little bit of a breather. So hopefully everybody's feeling that, okay? And I wanted to be outside today since the theme was trees, but everything from the dew point was high, and everything on the deck is wet, and there's still bugs out there, and I was like, you know, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I do have my green shirt, my green light in the background there. And so that's how we're going to roll today. But yeah, let me know. So anybody got good plans for the weekend? What are we doing this weekend? What's up for everyone? This is like the time of year. Oh, and we have the house open right now. It's going to get a little hotter today, but we're going to try to make it through. I'm getting a little bit of energy moving here. The nose is running and itching, and that usually means I'm starting to pick up on the energies. Real quick, before we get started on the oracle readings, let's talk about the next live Q&A that I have. So every other Sunday night, it's a bi-weekly event from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do a live Q&A where you can come on and you can ask a question and get a free mini reading. And the next one is on Sunday, October 5th. Can you believe we're going to be in October? Oh my goodness. And then the one after that is on Sunday, October 19th. So we've got two coming up. We've got Halloween. Who loves Halloween? Let me know in the comments if you love Halloween, what you're excited for this season. Definitely want to hear from you guys. I do have this really cool Halloween oracle deck that I'm going to be using. So it's going to be really fun. Absolutely love it. And yeah, so we're getting in. I have not done any kind of decoration. Some of you know that I just tell you what, I just did a garage sale, so that's why I wasn't on last Friday. And the garage sale was a total bust. It's like the slowest and worst garage sale that I have ever had, and it was a huge lesson for me from the universe of, I was talking to Teresa about this a little bit, of like not to nickel and dime myself, and to really focus more on the gifting and giving aspect. So I took a whole carload yesterday of stuff, like literally filled my car just so I could still see out the windows, and took it all to donation. And it felt so good to clear out that energy. And what has been happening then is like people have been reaching out for like sessions and things like that. So as soon as I shifted my mentality and I said, okay, I'm no longer going to nickel and dime myself here. I'm going to actually like give away the good stuff. There might be a few collectibles and things that I'll sell on eBay. Like I have some Star Wars stuff, vintage kind of thing. But other than that, like, Facebook Marketplace for a few things, eBay for a few things, and lots of gifting and giving away things. Like there's a lot of kids in this neighborhood of different ages and stuff. So all my kids' clothes I can share with them. Part of my homeschool group, there's always kids, we share the materials for school and toys and clothes and things like that, shoes. So all the good stuff is going to get gifted out, and some of it already has been. So I just find that, very interesting that the universe is like, we want you spending your time on what your purpose is. So let me know in the comments, what's your purpose? How did you get redirected during this eclipse portal? The eclipse portal, timeline wise, was 9/7 through 9/21. But that doesn't mean the energy isn't still there and affecting you. Okay, so let me know, how was it for you? What were some of the themes? For me, it was working with the subconscious layers of lack mentality, right? What was it for you? What was it for you? I want to hear. I got to see these comments. Let me know you're here. Okay. Thank you for the love, everyone. All right, let's, just a reminder, if you're here, you enjoy the content, you enjoy supporting the channel, be sure to put a thumbs up. All right, let's try a quick question here and see if I can get it posted. What was your eclipse lesson? Sometimes these questions post to people and sometimes they don't. So let me know in the comments, what was your eclipse lesson? Let's make it yellow. I don't know if you all can see it, but I put it up here. For some of you might be able to see it. What was your eclipse lesson? When you go to answer it, it'll pop up in the comments. So Tressa says same, lack mentality. Yes, specifically, right? You were talking about it came up for you in rejection versus redirection. So really taking a shift on the rejection energies and learning and knowing that those are actually redirections for you. They're actually redirecting you into something better than maybe even what you had your mind set on, right? Or what you were wrapping your mind around. So that's beautiful energy. That lack mentality comes up in a lot of ways. And I think that's some of the reason why I wanted to talk about trees and use the theme of trees today, because it's about anchoring in and growing. And trees are, you know, they're slow growing and they're very patient. They weather the storm, they weather the seasons, they go through stresses. They can teach us like so much. And so one of the things that I do on the side, you know, I have my YouTube channel, I have Creators on the Crest, which is my business. I also work part-time for a tree company, an arborist company. And I do the scheduling for the two arborist consultants for that. And I scheduled them out to go meet with people. And when I was younger, back in my 20s, I used to work for a tree company. I did everything from the office work to dragging the brush to getting certified back then. I have not kept up any certifications, but I thought, you know what? Trees are just coming up so powerfully. To me, they're like antenna, and they're like the antennas of the earth, and they indicate so much to us, much like our bodies indicate things to us. Our hair that covers our body is constantly sensing. And I thought, wow, it'd be really cool to talk about trees and do the oracle messages with a tree theme, and then break out into a couple different types of trees. It was really hard to pick the types because there's so many different trees I love. So let me know your favorite tree in the comments. If you've got one that you like to hug or that lets you hug it. You know, some of them don't want to be hugged, but some of them love it, love the attention. And let me know what kind of relationship you've had with nature and trees, because I think it's important. So we've got the green theme here, and we're gonna get into some things here. So we're gonna start off, my nose is now itching, which is the indicator, with an oracle reading. And I'm gonna do a kind of a, I would say, a pretty clear, clean tree of life kind of reading. Now, you won't be able to see the position of the cards because they'll be in front of me, but I'll be holding them up. And so I will explain as we go, but we're going to kind of go through the roots and the foundation. So we're going to take a look at the kind of energy that is up for us right now. What are the roots? Roots are also connected to tribe. They're connected to ancestors. So the cards we get there could inform us about that. And also the roots are connected to your moon sign. So if you know what your moon sign is, if we imagine our astrological blueprint like a tree, and I think I have a cool picture of this. I got some of my other, do I have it up here? No, I didn't grab it. Hang on, no, it's right here. I did this exercise once. This is my astrology illustrated in a tree. And your moon sign are the roots of your tree. It's the aspects of you that people don't always see. It's the aspects of you that needs to be nurtured and watered, that brings nutrients up, right? It's those shadow aspects of ourselves that cannot be ignored. So maybe I'll do a whole what do I want to say, like little mini course on how to create this for yourself. You would have to have your chart. So you can go and use some of the free online software to pull your astrological chart using your birth date. It's best if you have the time. In fact, it's most accurate if you have the exact time you were born. I noticed that they don't always record that these days. So make sure if that's something you want for you, your children, that you get that birth time down. And then you can put all your different aspects in a tree, and it really just gives you another depiction of how you relate to the world, and using the tree as the analogy. So we'll talk about that. So you've got the roots, then you've got the trunk. The trunk is connected to your sun sign. It's what you came here to do. It's connected to your purpose, your vision, your mission, how you act in the world. And it's also about how you grow. It's about your resilience. Imagine the tree trunk adding rings every year. Some years are kind of dry and deserty, and it's a very small, thin ring. And then some seasons are very watery and plentiful, and the rings grow thicker, right? And so the trunk is your soul spark, and it's about growth. It's about resilience. It's about how we weather the different experiences that we have through life. And then we'll go in the oracle reading to the branches. And the branches is really, what people start to see. And so it's represented by your ascendant here, your rising sign. Okay, so that's how people get their first impression of you. They definitely don't see the roots. They might see some of the trunk, but mostly they're looking at the canopy, the big canopy up here with the branches, the leaves and such. And that represents how you navigate into the future, what you're reaching for, and expansion. And so we'll get some oracle cards for that. And then I'm going to do a bonus where we talk about the fruit. Now, the fruit in here, I have connected to kind of those outer planets, right? Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. If you count little Pluto, some people like to still count it, some people don't. But I think when it comes to your astrology, it's very, very cool to look at yourself from the inside out, as within, as without, and you make these connections. So we'll go into some of the fruit, and what I connected that energy to is actually the divine connection. So the sacred relationship and connection you have to creator source, how the higher force ignites you, and then that connection to how you drive and act upon that, your will force, into the world. So we have kind of that trinity of creator, the higher force energy coming in, activating your heart, and then through your will force, you put that out into the world. So we're making a lot of connections with this little oracle reading here, and then we'll get into our breakout tarot readings by tree type, which each, genus and species of, or I'll say species of trees, has its own vibration. So every tree type, it has different qualities, different characteristics. Okay, so it's gonna be really fun to get into this today. So let me know you're here. I want to see the comments here. Let's see. Whoops. Let me know you're still here. Let me know you're hearing me, and we'll get into this oracle reading. If you are here and you would like to support the channel, I really appreciate the thumbs up. We've got Anna here. Hello, Anna, with the green heart. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Okay, so today I'm going to show you a couple of decks here. And we've got first one called the Illuminated Earth Oracle. And this one is by Claire Mack. And I wanted to go with decks that are more nature focused, albeit these are a bit abstract, I kind of like that energy of it because it gives us a lot to look at. And then the other deck that I'll be using is the Faceted Garden Oracle, also by Claire Mack. So we've got Illuminated Earth and Faceted Garden. And we're going to be pulling a couple cards for each of the positions I talked about, starting with the roots. So let's go ahead and get into that. Let's start off with the roots. Subbom, I'm in the United States, Middle America. Somewhere in Middle America, the heart of the nation. All right. The roots of our tree here. What are we gaining from our roots? What are we meant to know from our ancestors? What are the ancestral messages coming through here for us? Ooh, and we got, so I pulled a card from the Illuminated Earth and the Faceted Garden. We got wisdom. So let me just hold that up so you can look at that for a moment. And we got consciousness, wisdom, consciousness. Wow, look at these. This comes up in the position of the Tree of Life reading in the roots. In the roots. I love this. This is messages from our ancestors. So let's look at this wisdom card. I mean, there is a lot going on here. I kind of get, and you guys let me know what you see in these pictures. Let me know in the comments. I see kind of I see a lily pad. Maybe I see an oyster shell. Maybe I see kind of the shape of a placenta, which is its own tree of life. The mammalian placenta. It actually looks like a tree from a certain perspective. I see what could be some stony energy here supporting everything, but supporting everything looking like from a very narrow, and we don't know what's going on down here. It kind of leaves us to our imagination. And then we've got something yellow and different kind of coming through here. You see the oyster, AM. Yeah, I see the oyster. And you know, right here, I think is the pearl. That would make sense because the pearl of wisdom, right? In fact, one of my friends, his name is Rodney, has a channel on here. I forget what his channel is called. But when he goes and talks on Instagram and Facebook, he calls himself the Blue Pearl Oracle, which I thought is a really cool way when he does his, you know, shares his transmissions. But yes, we have a pearl there. So could this be some sort of, also something underwater perhaps? That it has some sort of underwater plant life. And could some of this yellow part be the, you know how, don't they have a foot that comes out, kind of like a sensory thing, and it kind of moves the oyster? The pearls of wisdom. I'm gonna need to get a drink of water here. So I want you all to take a minute, those of you who are tuned in here, and really tune into yourself. And really, maybe just even close your eyes for a moment and take a look at your heart space. I feel some release going on. Some of you are in the process of really connecting with this wisdom that you hold in your heart, with the preciousness of the pearl. Again, we're thinking about trees today and all the forces and all the seasons that they weather. Think about what it takes to form that pearl. How it starts out as a grain of sand, and then it's irritating, right, to the oyster, just like coming into this incarnation can irritate. We can come in as this beautiful, pure, clean being, right, organically purified from the stars where we came from, right, from creation, and we come in and there's this dense 3D playground reality, and it can feel like, whoa, where did I just land? Where is my soul now, right? And there's a lot of shaping and smoothing that I'm getting here in our energies, that it's so important for us to acknowledge within our own hearts, our pearls. So if you need to close your eyes, great. If you don't, what color is your pearl? Are you a saltwater pearl? Are you a freshwater pearl? What does the pearl of your wisdom look like? Are you a blue pearl, purple pearl, white? How does it look to you? And that's your own personal connection to it. If you'd like to share it in the comments, definitely share it. But that is definitely an exercise we could take in. How has being in this reality shaped you? How have you been able to heal and smooth over all the roughness that you have encountered in your life? That is wisdom. It's the experiences we have plus the information that we gather that we are able to turn into these beautiful pearls of wisdom. Now, looking at the Faceted Garden Oracle, we got consciousness. And I really feel that this is having an understanding of things that aren't necessarily present on the surface. Minaj, hello. Anna says beige, a beige pearl. Ooh, love that. And purpley blue for AM. I love that. I love that. I'm definitely feeling those colors for you all. And combined with this consciousness card, the integration of the wisdom, the way we've been able to take something very rough, like coming into this life is a challenge. What a brave soul we all are to be here. And we're able to raise our consciousness on this very dense playing ground of earth that we navigate, right? And it's through doing the work. And look how this is growing up. The consciousness is growing up and branching out like a tree. It's through doing the work that we apply the wisdom and we raise our consciousness vibration. We've got what looks like the planet Earth here. Above that, we've got some sacred geometry with like almost like a cosmic kind of energy here, kind of a lighter blue. Then we've got a spiral here and then a flower blooming and the branches reaching. So it's interesting that we're going into our next cards that we're going to pull are going to be branching. But what I really feel like the message from the ancestors is right now for us, it's to acknowledge the wisdom we've gained. And I gain a sense of like happiness and a bit of pride from our ancestors for being so brave and having the courage to come here and to refine the beautiful pearls that we are, to refine and gain wisdom, and then to use that wisdom to grow our consciousness. We also have what looks to be, I don't know if that's a dogwood bloom here, maybe a dogwood tree. We've got some little pods. So it's very interesting. I think this represents the natural world that we live in. And in the background, it almost looks like a desert sunset. That could represent where you've come from, or when things are slower, or when things are dry, when things aren't happening for you. And we're growing into these energies. We're branching up. So, you know, in the corporate world, one of the things they like to say when they couldn't promote you was that you could grow laterally, right? And so I think that in this card, I see, you know, this is the difference between growing laterally, which is sometimes important. We need to kind of look at the path and maybe widen the path a bit, gain some skills and experience before we move forward. But that appears to be in the background behind the character. So this indicates to me that some of you are moving beyond that and you are ready and you are reaching for that next level. So what does that next level look like for you? Let me know in the comments, what does that next level energy look like for you? What is it, career related? Is it relationship related? What might it be? How might your pearl be informing you about your next steps? Because I feel like all of this is what you're grounding, what you're integrating right now. So it kind of combines in with those lessons from the eclipse that we've had, okay? Yes, absolutely. I feel like, too, this is about some of you, you know, when we go through a rite of passage, it's often, you know, it's powerful, but not always easy, right? It's not always an easy rite of passage. And so some of you have really been through some challenge here, and this shows you coming out of that, but maybe you're not in the new beginning you're looking for yet. So you're in that in between. And how can you glean that wisdom from your inner knowing to move you forward for the next step? So what are you carrying with you in that pearl of wisdom that you're going to carry? So, and I'm getting a lot of burping now and stuff, like a lot of release here coming up from the heart. Maybe some of you have felt more of a release. And some of you are connected to, you know, the tides and the moon energies here with that. Very interesting that I got that for some of you. Let's move on to the trunk. I think, okay, so we're talking about pearls of wisdom. We're talking about how our consciousness is expanding. We are becoming the new human, right? The new human. And it's very interesting because I came off Jason's live earlier and he was kind of getting into like the biodigital convergence and the synthetics and all of that kind of thing. And you know, that's one path. But for those of us cultivating wisdom and connected with the natural path, the organic path, the natural world, and that timeline, we're cultivating something completely different. We're actually creating the future with every thought, with every action, with every emotion that we process. And yes, BioNation. So this is a very important time for us to choose that inner wisdom, to make that choice and make that commitment to our inner wisdom. And I love this. This is my Stargate shirt. Let me show you my Stargate shirt here. Cheyenne Mountain, explore the galaxy. I love Stargate. But you know what? The galaxy is within. The universe is within, and you are a fractal, not a fraction of, but a fractal of the universe, right? And so some of you have like, you're in the midst of passing through the Stargate, and sometimes what actually happens in the show is like all your molecules disintegrate into, so they can travel through the portal, and then they reintegrate on the other side of things. And so some of you are in the midst of that. That may be why you feel a little like, whoa, I've been pulled in different directions. This is wild, but I'm okay. I've come out the other side. I'm not quite sure what new experience I'm stepping into, but I'm moving through the portal. I've moved through it and I'm on the other side, and I will be experimenting with the path forward here. I will be exploring it. All right, let's look at the trunk. This is about our growth, our resilience, and the energies that are important for us to know here. So we're going to get into the Illuminated Earth Oracle first. We got an elemental energy. We got air. Oh my goodness. First of all, we're in Libra season now. And Libra is an air sign. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, air. And some of you may have or may be interested in experimenting with aerokinesis. Now, what's really cool when I like to do this is when I'm out in nature, first of all, and buy some bushes or a tree or some flowers on a day where it's not super windy. And I like to connect with the air element and see if I can move the air around whatever I'm looking at. So something with leaves is really, really good because then you can see it blow. And then once you do it once, you like can make it swirl and do different things, right? We get so caught up in thinking, oh my gosh, like they're controlling the weather, they're doing all this, but we have a sacred agreement with the elements that we're interacting with in this dimension on this planet. So could you maybe possibly open your mind a little and explore a little aerokinesis? This is maybe something that would help some of you grow. Believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself, because a lot of times when we're exploring the spiritual realms, we do happen into other dimensional realities. We're experiencing shifts in phasing. We're phasing in and out of the 3D, and this takes spiritual authority and responsibility. And so we must have a good relationship with the elements for this. And we're being reminded that right now for our growth, air is important. It's also very cleansing and clearing, right? It picks up things, right? So what are you picking up? What can you let blow by you? What can you let flow by you as well? And then really, really interestingly, from the Faceted Garden Oracle, we got the cactus. And so I'm really, really called to read from her. She has a little mini book here. And I think the reason is because she has made this about endurance, tenacity, and resilience, which is what the trunk is about, growth and resilience, the trunk of the tree. Remember, we're kind of working with the tree of life energy here, and we're in the trunk. This is our growth. And it's like also about being self-sufficient. So the cactus holds the water. Hi, Jay. How are you today? Welcome. The cactus holds the water inside. So now we've got the air element and the water element. And when we think about the tree of life, you have like the phloem, where the water, the little channels and the cells that push the water up into the canopy of the tree. But the cactus is very good at holding on to that because it usually thrives in a dry environment. And remember, our roots were showing us that we've come out of the desert, kind of the desert passage there, some of us. That eclipse for us, you know, even in tumultuous rites of passage, they can feel like nothing's happening. Like, I know I'm doing things, but nothing's happening. I know the whole day just went by, but where did it go, right? And so when you're tuned into energies more and more, you tend to have these temporal shifts and you tend to phase in and out. Jay is wondering if I'm taking personal questions. So I will be taking personal questions for mini readings on Sunday, October 5th and Sunday, October 9th from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we hope you join us from one of those live Q&As. It's always best to stop in early, like closer to the 7 p.m. hour, because sometimes I fill up really quick and can't get to all the questions. But I do free complimentary mini readings on Sunday evenings every other Sunday. October 5th and 19th are the next two. So we hope to see you there. But also, if you enjoy a very empowered high vibe tribe, we have that here at Creators on the Crest for these Frequency Fridays as well. And sometimes the messages that come up end up answering a personal question. So if you've got that burning question and you tune in, you might just hear what you need to know. Now, the cactus energy, I also want to speak to this in the sense of, so we're on the trunk of the tree, we're talking about our soul spark. Some of you may have felt the need recently to defend yourself. So if you think about the cactus with the little prickles and the thorn, the little needles that get in, whew, you know, they can get in. I mean, and that's not, if you've ever had an encounter with a cactus that's gone through your skin, Whew, not fun, right? And so this is about some of us having to have the boundaries and maybe even defend ourselves a little bit here, or feeling then like we have to defend ourselves, our way of being, our connection to spirit, to nature, to air, right? And so how we conserve, how we hold our emotions, how we protect our energies is coming up here. Some of you may have fallen a little bit off of setting up protective boundaries around yourself energetically. If that's the case, this is your sign to go and reestablish those. I personally, um, I personally draw the circle, what I call the circle of the magician. And that is a very powerful protective energy for me. I can do it in a matter of seconds if I need to, especially if I'm in a large crowd or around somebody that I feel is particularly toxic, right? I can do it very quickly, but I can also do it very slowly and mindfully. Circles are such an important part of every culture that we have here on Earth. They're used in sacred ways. They can be about momentum, right? And they're very directional. Directional energies and elemental energies play in again. So I find the circle of the magician to be one of the most powerful protective means of setting up energetic protection. And I feel like this is a reminder for some of you that you might need to do that for yourself. It's okay to defend against energy. Sometimes it's not even words or physical actions that are coming towards you. It's just the energies. And if you're a sensitive, if you're empathic, there's vampiristic energies that are looking to harvest your loosh energy, right? Through your fears. They want to try to get in, because for an empath and a sensitive person, highly sensitive people, that's a massive energy they carry. And so it's even more important to protect yourself, especially around people. Jay says, you wanted to ask like a general question, if a person could still be facing trauma from their past life in this life. Absolutely. Those patterns carry over. Absolutely. Now, I will say, before you join, Jay, the first couple cards I got here were wisdom, consciousness, and that was a message from the ancestors. That's a message from tribe and from our roots. So I think it's all in how we become aware of that for ourselves, and how we then take accountability for that and process it and work through it. For me personally, and maybe some of you on here have some other ways that you recognize it. For me personally, when I'm facing something that maybe was established as a pattern or an issue in a past life, it always feels to me that it's there, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Whereas if it's something I've dealt with in this life that I'm consciously aware of, I know what it is. And it feels more apparent for me when it's something that, like I said, or, came through a past life, or was particularly part of a lesson from a past life, or something that I needed to resolve that didn't get fully resolved. It's kind of elusive to me at first until I spend time, set up my energy protection, and meditate on that. And then usually I will get some sort of indicator of like, okay, this is what it is. How to get out of that karmic debt? Well, number one, yeah, you can't rush it. Okay. So it's very interesting because that you're bringing this up today, because yesterday I caught up with a friend that I had not had a chance to talk to in a while. And she and I first connected during our training and getting trained how to read the Akashic records, which are the soul's library. In Christianity, it's referred to as the Book of Life. Every culture has a way for referring to this etheric field of the Akasha. And it has a lot to do with clearing out past lives and understanding where one's soul has come from. It takes time. It takes dedication. I also do a very powerful closure process that I offer. This is for those who may know that they're stuck in some way, but they just can't find the means to move on from it. And so in my description, you have the way you can contact me if you're interested in looking at a closure session. It's up on my website. It's an hour and a half long. It goes very in depth. And we really work to extract, even if we don't have the exact details of what that karmic life looked like, the details are sometimes important and they will come forward when they need to. But also it's about the themes. And usually if something is arisen for you in this current incarnation that has those connections to the past, there's still something in you today and something about the way that you're operating and navigating this time around that is connected to that. And that starts to get into timelessness. All right. So if you imagine like one of my mentors, George Kavasalis, he talks about like we have this timelessness, right? So this is our connection also to creation. It's that the entire universe, right? There's this connection point to creation, God, source, great spirit. Okay. You might have your own wording around it. And I'm not going to, pick all that apart right now. That's a whole other conversation, but there's this point. And then as we experience the different levels, the different dimensional levels and the different reality fields, it expands out into like a cone. So if you imagine like a tip and then we go on this circle, and remember I was talking about the circle, this is why the circle of the magician is so powerful, because it allows us to move in a timeless manner with our own energy, okay? And so if you imagine like a cone, where you're at on the circle in all of your timelines, your lives, your dimensions is your perspective. But that's just one small spot in this huge experience that your soul is having. And so sometimes through meditation, what people do is they actually rise out of that, okay? They rise out of that perspective and they connect back with that point, that timeless energy, that source energy. And that's what we do in the closure session, and that's why it's so powerful. Because we take it back to the point so that we can clear and heal and do whatever work we need to do on the entirety of it, instead of just one timeline, one dimension, one reality. It goes through all of them, right? And then you have your cone, and then you have spiral. You have all this energy, right? All these pathways, right, that you can take. And you said sometimes you feel bad for setting boundaries. A lot of sensitive people do feel bad about that, because there's a part of you that is called possibly to serve in some way and to reach out and to nurture and to care for. And if you can't do that, or like somebody doesn't want you to, it can feel personal because it's part of your purpose and your mission, right? But at the same time, if no one's going to protect your energy if you don't. And that gets into an even bigger conversation around externalizing your power and your authority. You said stars do align for you. Whenever I do readings, I get the star card. That's Aquarius energy. Are you an Aquarius, or do you have that in your chart? Star card is Aquarius, humanitarian. So if you came here with that energy, or you hold that energy, or you're even just connected to that energy, whether it's in your chart or not, of course, you're going to have to deal with the past life karma as well. All right, let's get into the branches of the tree. Good discussion, Jay. Thank you so much. You're Sagittarius sun. Okay. Okay. Well, you think about the star, that's your goal. Sagittarius energy, very good at setting, like seeing the goal, seeing the stars, seeing the optimal, and then finding the best path to it. And that may mean cleaning out some karmic issues too. Let's get into now the branches of the tree, and this is about how we expand. It's about the future and the destiny that we have. So let's take a look at the Illuminated Earth Oracle here. Ooh, Destiny Path. I just got done doing a special series. It was called the Destiny Path Portal. And that was during the eclipse, and I had 12 souls reach out for those readings, and they were amazing. Okay, I can't, like, they made me so excited to do my next tarot special, which would probably be winter sometime when I feel called to it. But oh man, those were so powerful, and that's kind of coming up here, and it's beautiful. So what we got from the Illuminated Earth is path. This is about your path work. Your future is about the path you choose, right? You definitely, some of you may be taking the path less traveled. It may be a rockier path at times because you have to work through more of the 3D challenges to get where you need to be. But we have our prayer flags here. We have a beautiful representation. We have a yin yang here in the middle, representing the alignment of the masculine and feminine energies. Some of you were working on that within yourself, aligning the masculine and the feminine. Committing yourself to the path that you're on, what you need to do to move on that path. Sometimes there's detours. Sometimes we get stuck on a little offshoot of the path. We have to find our way back to the main path. But this coming up in our destiny, in our expansion, in our what the future holds for us, I think it's very important. So some of you have come out of this portal, you've come out of the desert zone, and you've got this expanded consciousness. Whether you have fully embodied it or not, it's okay. You're working on it, right? The path forward is calling, and that means you're going to be taking steps. So this refers to the action. Some of you may feel there are some energies right now astrologically where you feel very pulled forward and you're doing things, but like it feels like nothing is happening. Things are still happening. Trust. Give it a minute. Let some of these energies kind of calm. We've been through a lot during this eclipse portal. The other thing that we got here with our future is entwined. This is how our paths and our roads cross as creator beings. I really feel like some of you new people are going to be coming into your life, people that are connected to you through past life experiences, other dimensions. Some of you may even be integrating yourself, your greater being, from parallel experiences, okay, parallel lives. Some of you may meet yourself in a dream. And this is definitely all connected. Some of you are calling parts of your soul back in. I really get in this middle with the snakes entwined like that, I get kind of the health of the body is coming in here. Some of you may need to do some clearing. Like I said, you know, one of my drinks today is like the apple cider vinegar with lemon water, the little touch of honey. I like a little touch of local honey. Who doesn't, right? It's good stuff. And it is clearing. I've been doing it. This is my third day, and it is clearing me out. Some of you have some clearing to do so that you can open up the connections to who you are meant to work with, cross paths with. This is connected energy here, and it's coming in the future position. It's like stepping into what looks like some like greenery, like from a big jungle, but you can't see like past the leaves. It just looks like there's these big fronds, these big leaves there, but you can't see it until you do see it, right? But I do see some of you connecting with new people. Be on the lookout for new people. And I think that's why protection was coming up too, because new people can also mean lessons, tests, little tests that we set up for ourselves, that our souls set up for ourselves, right? To put ourselves through who we're really going to connect with. That's why the boundaries and protections are so important. as we expand into the future. That's why using the air element and conserving our precious water, our precious energy with the cactus is so important. Wow, definitely some powerful, powerful energies here in our tree and what we've just come through and what we're integrating. So once again, I'll just show you guys kind of what I created for my own astrology here. I spent some time with this and created this tree. And I look at this sometimes and I made myself a little cheat sheet on the house energies here. The astrological magic, the elemental magicians of the zodiac. Aquarius is the air magician. So Aquarius has come up pretty strong today. Sagittarius is the fire magician. Capricorn is the earth and Scorpio is the water. And then the shaman of the zodiac is Pisces. This does not mean the other signs don't have a part, because you have to have all the other signs in place to be able to do the magic, right? All those things have to be in place. So if you didn't see your sun sign there, that's okay. But you might want to look in your chart for where you have these 5 signs as to where you're going to feel more magical or have some magic take place in your life. Let's move on and get some fruit, okay? Some fruit. Again, represented by the outermost planets on the tree of life here, the astrological tree, your personal tree of life, your relationship to the tree of life. In Norse mythology and legend, we'll say, is Yggdrasil is the tree of life. And we can go deeper into that sometime. When I was setting this up, I was, my friend and colleague and soul journey sister, Karen, she was mentioning like, oh, you're going to talk about oak trees and maple trees and cedar. And I love these trees and that, and they all feed into the tree of life. And it's just such a huge topic. I'm like, I think a series is being born here where we would go deeper into these energies with the different species of trees. Oh, very interesting here what we're getting for the fruit, because this is about divine connection and some of y'all are blocked, a little blocked in your connection. All right, and this is really interesting. So the Illuminated Earth Oracle, when it comes to the fruit of the tree, this is about divine connection. Of course, you're going to be a little blocked if right now you're a little less protected. You might need to reset your energy protection, your boundaries, have the courage to set those boundaries so that you can overcome this blockedness. And look how this looks like blood cells, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like little red blood cells, white blood cells all bouncing up together? This could be something in your DNA that is blocked, a code that is blocked. And on these, it actually looks like, in this one, it looks like, it's hard to see, looks like a fingerprint, like fingerprint swirls in there. Very unique. Very unique. And so we want to unblock this energy. Some of you, it could relate to physical energies with blood clotting or your spleen, which produces the blood cells. So that's for you to know and work with your own practitioners on. But what's beautiful about this energy, even though it may be currently blocked, we got from the Faceted Garden, pollinator. Something new is being seeded here. Our relationship to our greater being, to the divine, is getting ready to open back up in new and beautiful ways. We just might have to have a little patience with ourselves right now. Pollinator energy. So we think of bees, we think of butterflies and moving from plant to plant. And what's beautiful here is we have a golden ring here, which I see as like a commitment to your soul's path, to your soul's growth, to how you connect with Creator Source. And giving yourself time and energy for that once more, giving yourself time to seed the new in your life. That's coming up as very important here. There's some things that have not yet opened up. So this is like fruit before it's ripe. There's something being pollinated. There's something ripening. Some of you are just in a place where you're like, Why the heck hasn't it come to fruition yet? Why hasn't it? And it's because you're still recognizing, clearing certain energies, and you're learning certain lessons here. So allow the process of pollination to happen. Allow the new seeds to be planted. That will get things flowing again here. Anything that feels stuck or like it's not moving or this isn't happening for me, why is it not happening for me, right? And we're dealing with a little push-pull here, a little tug of war, universal energies that we're going through right now. But it's only serving to make you stronger, all right? It's only helping you weather the seasons and the storms in a way that you haven't been able to before. Let me know in the comments if you're still here. Give me your vibe. How are you feeling? Did anything stand out? Are you feeling stuck? Do you feel blocked sometimes? Or do you feel like on the one hand you're doing stuff but nothing's happening? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you're feeling and thinking. That is our oracle reading today, kind of setting us up. I'm going to keep the cards kind of out a little bit here so I can refer back to them if they come up in the tarot readings. And we're getting into lots of clearing going on here. We're getting into this deck here. Look at, there's the Tree of Life. This is called the Wildwood Tarot. Okay, so we're going to get into 3 different breakout sessions, which I'll explain right now. The first one is going to be about the oak tree and the oak tree species. Now, oak is about strength, endurance, protection, and weathering change. Oaks are very resilient as well, but they are strong. They have strength. They are deeply rooted, if you will. Okay, and they are very sustainable type trees. And yes, we do have a bit of a Celtic. Let me show you this because it is Celtic inspired deck, the Wildwood Tarot. We have the triskele on the drum. Very Celtic, druidic kind of vibe. Very much a tree, a wild wood, working with the wood element, the trees. Thank you, Girl Gone. Hope you're having a wonderful day too. So glad you're here. I saw your earlier comment that you must have seen the live was setting up. Glad to have you here. Yeah, we're really going to be exploring this today. So we're going to start with oak. So you may vibe with that. You may be thinking, I'm working on strength, I'm working on endurance, sustainability. These are the things I'm setting up in my life. And that might call to you. And then we're going to move into maple, which is about, think about maple syrup. Think about the sweetness of maple, having balance, right? Now, maple trees, if you observe, like oak trees will grow with one big trunk, typically. Once in a while, something will interfere and they'll kind of have a dual, they call it a crotch in the tree, right? But oak trees, for the most part, they grow up in one big trunk. Maple trees tend to have a little trunk and then they branch off. They have more than one main trunk or main limb or branch, okay? And so it's about balance with maples. So if you're working on balance and having that balance inside yourself to bring in abundance, this is the manifestation energy, bring in that sweetness. You're trying to attract more sweetness into your life, but you also know it's about balance, then the maple reading is going to be for you. And then our final breakout reading today is going to be the cedar tree. And this is all about the sacred nature, your sacred connection. It's about healing. So for those of you who are healing something, healing the karmic past, healing an issue. It's also about purification. So kind of coming back to that natural soul's energy with the cedar and your soul purpose. So we've got 3 different unique types of trees and unique categories to go into these breakout readings. Each tree, yes, and each species of tree has different meanings. Yes, absolutely. And so these meanings are made through the observation of the tree. And these are not only my observations, but collective observations about trees. And earlier, Girl Gone, I was mentioning, I work for an arborist company, a tree company. And so I actually know a lot about the physiology of the different trees and how they grow and which are prone to disease and what are not, and what the problems are in the different trees. So I do have a fair bit of scientific knowledge and botanical knowledge behind it as well. What's interesting is I also mentioned my past in the Akashic records and what you can do when you're exploring that realm. Now, a lot of you know I kind of shifted out of that because I wanted to explore my personal relationship to that, to the Akashic field. I wanted to be clear about what dimension I was in and, you know, what energies I was interacting with. But through that, you can tap into different species of trees, and the tree species itself will talk to you and let you know what it's meant to teach and what its predominant characteristics are. So yes, it's very cool to work with this energy. And I was like, I'm gonna have to do like a whole series on this and go deeper because it's gonna be so cool and so fun. And it's something anyone, usually, unless you live in the middle of a desert, you can usually get to some sort of tree somewhere, right? And so they are something that most people have access to and can work with. So let's get started. We're gonna start off with the mighty oak tree energy, strength, endurance, protection, and weathering the change. What do we creators need to know? What is oak teaching us? And do any of you like, you know, there's red oak and then there's white oaks and little acorns, you know, all the oak trees drop the acorns. But I like the ones from the white oaks that have the little caps on them, like the little cap with the acorn. They're so cute. People take those and decorate them. Yes, Girl Gone, you can do communication with elemental energies, with Mama Gaia herself. You betcha. The planetary energies. It's really fascinating. And the Akashic's been coming up lately. I reconnected with a friend. We had met originally when we took Akashic record training, but we both kind of branched off and did different things too. And we may do a Real Life Mages podcast on the Akashic, and that'll be a really cool conversation that I'll put here on Creators on the Crest. Have I run into fae and fairies? I have. I felt that energy was particularly strong when I traveled to Ireland. That island, for some reason, and I'm getting chills as I'm talking about it. There's a lot of folk magic and stuff that has taken place over there. But the fae magic can be anywhere, really. And sometimes, you know, fae and fairies, it's like, you know, you see the ones, people at the Renaissance fair and they're dressed like the fairies, and it's like, oh, fairies, you know, like Tinkerbell. And there's ones like that. There's energies like that. And then there's trickster ones too, like the little puka energies and stuff. Yeah, Ireland is, I was there in December. It was green, as green could be, because of the minerals in the ocean it's surrounded by and the types of rock there. It's incredible. Highly recommended, especially if you feel called. You may have some past life connection there and memories there that need to be unlocked. Your astrocartography can also tell you why it's important for you to go there if you study that. Okay, so, you know, sometimes it's so cool because the tarot sometimes gives us the obvious, like I was talking about oak being strength, endurance, and protection. And we got the Four of Pentacles, which is the protection here, the Four of Stones. And very earthy energy coming through here. And we have the little fawn laying, you know, as in a protected way with these four stones. And it says here protection. It's about protection and the importance of protecting itself. Now, oak trees tend to grow rather large and have a pretty big canopy. So they are the type of tree, if it was raining, I would probably go sit under that type of tree because I would get less wet because of the thick canopy of it, depending on the time of year too. Very interesting with oaks too. They will turn brown in the fall, but they don't drop their leaves until the new bud emerges in the spring. So a lot of times all the leaves we're cleaning up, especially those of us who have, multiple types of trees, we're cleaning up like the maples and the sycamores and all that stuff that turns and then falls. But the oaks will remain brown and hold on, not to all their leaves, but to some of their leaves, most of their leaves, until the new bud emerges. And so I'm feeling a bit of emergence, like you having that energetic protection. Not only is it going to increase your endurance down the road, so you might be conserving some energy here if you've picked this particular pile, but it is also giving you what you need, the structure and stability to grow into and to go eventually, right? But right now, make sure you're protected. That message has come through a couple times on this Frequency Friday Live, making sure that your energy is protected and that it's sound. And we have some really cool carvings. We have a diamond radiating out here, circle radiating out here, or more maybe like an elliptical radiating out here on the card. And we have a few trees back here. Possibly oak trees back there. Oh, we also have like a lightning bolt here, right? On the top stone. I do not see if there's a carving on the back stone. It may be on the other side. Protect yourself. Four of Pentacles energy is also about saving. Some of you might want to curb the spending right now. Hold back a little bit unless you're feeling really called by your heart to spend on something or to gift, right? In that way. I am getting the message of like, hold on, maybe like overwinter with it a little bit. Don't be so, what's the word? I can't think of the word. I hate it. I think it starts with an I. It's not irresponsible though. That's not what I'm getting. It's like where you act too fast before thinking something through. Maybe too spontaneous with spending. I thought there's another word I'm trying to get out of my brain cobwebs here. But yes, protect your energy. And what then is interesting, this tarot is like accentuating the importance of what we learned from oak trees, which is the strength card. In this deck, it's connected to the number 11, which is interesting. Could represent strength in partnership for some of you, or strength with dual aspects of yourself, the yin yang energy coming together. Impulsive. That's it. Girl gone. Oh, thank you so much. Y'all, I have hormones going on. I'm a lady of a certain age, the perimenopause thing. And there are just times where like the one thing I'm trying to think of completely escapes me, even though it's in there. It's like right there, but it's like fog over it. Okay. But you got it. Impulsive, spontaneous, impulsive. Yes. With finances, hold on to them a little bit is what I get here. And look at this card. Ooh, I love this. This is taming kind of energy, a taming of your inner nature, of maybe the warrior inside you. You might even call it like the beast, but I'm not getting it in like a negative way. I think oak is teaching us here about that we are truly capable of defending ourselves and protecting ourselves when the need arises to do so, that we will be mindful, we will be watching, we will catch things when they try to come in. And what's interesting is he has a staff in his hands here, and a cup. So I'm going to say a wand of fire and a cup of water here. Again, you know, the next reading that we go into, Maple, is about balance, but I do sense from Oak as well that for some of us, this is about bringing things into balance in our partnerships and having strength with that. It could be strength of communication and boundaries of how you feel about things. They're very much on the lookout in this card, right? Usually in the strength card, you'll see it depicted as the human character, like taming the beast, right? But the beast is already tamed here, and it's like helping. This could be your wilder side, your wilder nature that's helping inform you, that it's your instinctual nature here. And that's what oak tree species is letting us know as well. Protection of your resources, of yourself, being on the lookout for what kind of energy comes in and being willing to defend and protect against what's not healthy or good for you, right? And also, Oak Tree is saying this is a great time for us to build our skills with the 8 of stones here. There may be something you're really trying to put your own personal touch on. This doesn't have to be a physical product, but it could be. And we've got like a petroglyph of a handprint in the background, but it's like the hand is the clear part and something around it actually created that image. We've got some incense burning. Girl Gone, I think you noticed the bird in the background here. Desert Eagle a couple days ago. You've seen them twice in your life, and you just saw one a few days ago. That's a beautiful indicator there. And in the earlier oracle reading, when we were talking about the trunk of the trees, and which is related to our soul spark energy, we had the air element come up here. I'm going to show that card again. And I was talking about working with aerokinesis, which was really interesting, making air move with your energy. But the oak tree here is saying now's a good time to hone your skills. It's a good time to put your signature on something. It's a good time to, now maybe you're alone doing this. You're in your cave, okay? This is not like he's out being seen by a bunch of people. He's very focused on creating what he's creating here. And he's got an arrowhead. He's got some different bowls here, containers, maybe even like the tip of a spear. I can't help but feel like oak tree is really indicating to us the type of warriors that we are on a soul level. I'm not talking about warriors that go to war, physical war, or it could be spiritual war, however, because we are in the midst of spiritual warfare. But this is a strengthening and a protection and a recognition of that. I always recommend that book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I think it's a very powerful, it's very easy to read. You can read the different little lessons that Sun Tzu has to teach about the art of war. And if you apply that on a spiritual level, it's incredibly helpful. It's an important time to protect and be in those safe spaces, not to get drawn out. You know, like I hear the word enemy used a lot in religious and Christian terms, like don't be drawn out by the enemy or the devil or whatever, right? And what they're actually referring to is the energies of that would take you off track, right? And so that's part of the art of war too. Don't interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. Don't let the enemy draw you out. You always want to have control of the board. And oak tree is reminding us of this. I'm not getting a lot about like propagation here or planting or the acorns necessarily, even though I love the acorns. What I get more is that it's about our strength, our solid, energetic protection. and to work on that and to make that a priority and to bring that into balance and to not feel like we have to be taking action just because someone else wants us to. If it doesn't feel good to you, if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel balanced, if it doesn't feel safe, don't do it. Let's get a card from the Shaman's Dream Oracle here just to close off the oak tree message today. Woo! Oh, nice. This may have to do with what we are working on protecting here. We got number 6, the cosmic womb, the divine feminine. All right, divine feminine energies. Here's our masculine energy here, our instincts, the wildness, right? The defender, the protector. What are we protecting? The cosmic womb. What a card. Look at that. And we've got swirls in here. We've got stars. We've got what looks to me like, what it actually looks like to me is a little baby, like a little fetus in there. You see? Wow. So oak tree is talking about the importance of all this because of what we're protecting here, the divine feminine energies. It is such a pretty card. So much going on. At first I was like, wow, that could be like a heart and lungs coming off here. But then I saw like, but also the heart is the first thing to form in a fetus, right? In a baby, when those cells are coming together, we are protecting something greater than just our own physical selves. We do have the right to uphold defense of ourselves, but not just our physical bodies, but our spiritual, emotional, and mental energies as well. And some of us are gaining great skill in this area here. We're learning how to do this. We're putting our unique touch on it. Some of you may have a method of protection that you're going to create that comes out of your greater being to share with your clients or with the world that holds safe this beautiful cosmic womb energy. So part of what has happened right now, you know, we know when we look at our 3D reality, both the divine masculine, we see the, well, I'll say this, we see the shadow masculine, the dark masculine, the toxic masculinity, and we see the dark feminine and all of that, right? The toxic feminine, the toxic femininity. We're seeing that in our world. But that's not, those are lessons to be learned, and they're paths to take for learning and for understanding the edges and the extremes. But what happens is people get so far pulled into one or the other, or the utter confusion about it all, that they lose sight of the cosmic womb and the hydration and the nourishment that takes place there. And it gets, the womb is taken, the womb is stolen, right? And in human 3D reality, it's very sad. It's absolutely heartbreaking. In 3D reality, we see this with the way that women treat other women, women treat themselves, the way women treat their bodies, the way they use it as commodities, the way that they sell themselves out, they sell themselves short. You know, we all make mistakes on various levels, but this is what this, you know how much energy is here? This is an endless portal of energy and evolution. So if you're a dark energy, if you're the enemy, so to speak, you want to harvest that, don't you? That's what they want. That's what the vampire energy wants. It wants the womb. So we have all this confusion, we have all this extremity, you know, and all the pull into that. And this is what we're defending. And that's what the oak has taught us today, that that's what we're defending. Wow. Really powerful energies from the oak species, letting us know why we build our strength, why we build protection, why we keep enduring. We're protecting something sacred. Okay, yes. True goddess energy. Yes, absolutely. Let me know how you're feeling. Girl Gone she's #1 on the live chat here. And I appreciate it so much. Who else is here? Every time I ask who else is here, or, you know, to let me know in the comments, I feel like the number of people watching goes down. I think when I say that, like, YouTube does something. I don't know. It may just be to me too, because then it like pops back. It's really strange. I don't know. It's kind of like a mental thing. I'm like, what is that? Jason's here. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you. Well, I know why my live is a little bit slower. It's because I was not live last week. And anytime you skip, the algorithms don't like that. And also people are like, oh, well, you know, they just kind of forget. You have to keep it consistent. That is true. That's just part of it. I thought your live was good, Jason. You had a lot of people commenting. You had a lot of people saying hi. Sometimes they talk to each other. I love when you guys talk to each other too. Say hi to each other. All right, let's get into maple. Maple's up next, everyone. Maple tree. Sweetness, balance, what we're manifesting, that abundance. It's the harvest coming in. Ooh, and these cards are popping right out. Oh, wow. Interesting. Interesting. Oh, cool. Okay. So those of you who are vibing with maple, think about the sweetness of the maple syrup, right? And just the beautiful, brilliant colors. If you see there's yellow maples, orange, red, the Japanese maples, they have a lot of unique variation within their species. And I think part of what we're being shown here in this reading is going to be that there's not one single path to manifestation and harvesting abundance in our lives. There's more than that. There's more than that going on here. And so it starts us off with the 7 of vessels. They call it vessels in this deck. I love it. Or the 7 of cups. But it says mourning, which might speak to grief, maybe some grief that some of us are carrying. It could be grief that we have about the state of the world, the collective energies, which we've been up against through the eclipse portal. It could be about death, and not just physical death, but death of our former selves, right? As we move through these portals, we emerge a unique and different person than we were before. And so some of us must grieve the former self. But the 7 of Cups is also about choice. It's about choice on how we move through grief, how we move through those energies of letting go and all the phases of grief. I'm kind of getting it too, like when you watch a maple tree, if you watch it kind of, if you have one and you kind of watch as the colors change before the leaves fall off, there's this process. It's like you'll see the veins in some of them are still green. So they'll have like this green amidst the yellow or the orange, and that's what makes them so beautiful and brilliant. But I'm getting the feeling like some of you, when you're out on a walk or something, watch for the maple leaves and actually get a leaf and pick one up. My friend Christy, she does mandalas. She will get like, collect beautiful things like sticks and stones and leaves on her walks. And then she will create herself a mandala and take a picture of it and then use it as part of her own, you know, ritual meditation. So that's another lovely idea. But it's about choice. in how we let go, how we move through things. And it's interesting that that's being acknowledged as something that is necessary for us to then welcome in abundance. You know, I was sharing at the very beginning of Frequency Friday that I had a garage sale and it was a total failure. And the lessons in that were so much more about me letting go of the stuff, of the items, and not nickel and diming myself, right? There's a new Stephanie that is emerging who is opening herself into a greater energy of giving and receiving and gifting and having resources to share and having that flow nice and open. But if I hold on symbolically to all this old stuff, just to sell it for 50 cents to $1, right? It was holding on to a lack energy. It was holding on to a lack energy. And that's coming up again in this maple reading, because those of you who've been dealing with that and dealing with, you know, those subconscious layers. I was talking to Teresa about that, subconscious layers. Ashley's still here. Hi, Ashley. I know sometimes I think you write and you get it, you know, like, I think sometimes in my lives, people are getting into it and they're taking notes and they're like, you know, really exploring the energies. So it's not as chatty in the chat as it could be, but I do appreciate those of you who, when you feel called, you're typing something out and let me know you're here. But yeah, this nickel and diming ourselves, this kind of breadcrumbing ourselves, that's what's coming up here. This is something that we're releasing with this, and we're mourning and we're grieving through, you know, all the lessons, and maybe there's a little bit of hint of regret for some of you in there of something. You know, sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, I have no regrets," you know. I think if we look deep enough in your subconscious, there might be something. You know, people live wild lives and make all these mistakes and they're like, I have no regrets. And it's like, but do you? Do you? Because I know I do. I have regrets. And it's a tough energy to face. It is. It really is a tough energy to face and to work through all the emotions that come along with that grief. But it's also a very natural part of ourselves to explore and heal, isn't it? And the wisdom that we gain from that wisdom that was rooted in the oracle reading that I started off with today, the foundation and the ancestors, rooting in the consciousness, the wisdom from all these lessons. So let it be. Let grief and regret be a part of your process, Maple Group, because more is coming here. Now, what's beautiful about this is we commit ourselves to going on in the shadowlands, on the harder parts of the journey, the harder aspects, feeling those feelings, processing them, not running from them, not trying to distract ourselves, not, you know, grabbing our phone. Not, for me, it's zoning out and watching Stargate because I love the show, right? And it like relaxes me. It's so weird. Even though it's like, there's like military in there and there's like, they're always shooting their guns and stuff. It's like, for some reason, like it just calms me. It's weird. We're moving into the king of vessels, the heron. Love that bird. Have you ever seen a heron? Beautiful. I think the blue heron is popular, right? One of the popular. I'm sure there's different types of herons, but this is the king. This is the king energy. There's value to us going through the feelings of grief and regret because we're moving our capacity to hold energies into a bigger cup, into a bigger pond of water, a lake. The lessons that help you grow. Yeah, let go of those breadcrumbs. Absolutely. The first Stargate movie, you love that the best. Yeah. Yeah. I just like the characters. I like the humor. It's cheesy. I like cheesy sci-fi stuff. But this heron, I also see how like the crane and the heron and these types of birds, they stand on the one foot, right? So it's interesting. We're going to balance our tougher energies that we're working through. We're going to have our moments. We're going to acknowledge that we regret or that we're grieving something. We're going to allow ourselves that time. We're going to create a bigger vessel. Why are we creating a bigger vessel here? Why are we coming into that king energy? It's to magnetize in what is best for us. The Four of Wands in this deck is the Four of Bows. This is a celebration. This is the result. This is the stability. This is manifesting the abundance. This is the harvest coming in, and now we can celebrate. Great time of year for it, especially in the Northern Hemisphere where we're in the autumnal energies. So we've had the equinox. We're moving toward the shorter days. Let's make that bonfire. Let's dance and sing one more time while we still have the sun, while we still have the energy. We're moving into this abundance. It's a great time of year to call it in, to celebrate and celebrate. Gratitude for what you have. Gratitude for what you've built. Very carefree energy here. And in the card, you will see the cups and the baskets of the harvest all around. And I think in many indigenous cultures, they celebrate. They celebrate their harvest. They celebrate this time of year. Singing, music, laughter, dancing, passionate energies, flow, dance flow, movement. All very, very, very good things. It's lovely that we have those water energies. And maple is teaching us to hold those water energies, right? And isn't it true that the more rains we have, the more the trees get the water, the more colorful the leaves, right? And on the years where we don't have as much rain leading into the fall season, the colors on the leaves aren't as powerful, are they? Zaralath. Okay, Zaralath has been going live and just beating that wisdom out. I mean, one after the next. I haven't been able to keep up with all your videos, but you know, you were talking in one of them. I think someone asked you a question. I have to sidetrack this real quick about the emerald tablets. And I was like, ooh. I knew when they asked the question and you read it, I'm like, ooh, you know, and you were trying to talk about your massage. I think that you got a massage, which I'm really glad to hear you did that. I'm going today for specifically like a TMJ jaw release. You can hardly keep up with yourself. Well, anyway, you've been doing awesome of like, you know, going out there and just speaking about, but I loved how you kind of responded, and you and I, you know, went through the Black Earth Productions initiation around about the same time, somewhere in the same zone, right? And I had read other things on the emerald tablets, and to be honest, I still need to get deeper into that energy, but Thoth is like the usurper. Thoth is like the enemy, so to speak. It goes so deep. Ooh. I mean, there's like a whole field of study just around all of that and the 11th disc. And at some point, maybe we'll have to have a conversation about it. Maybe we'll have to do a live and kind of talk through it, because there's a lot to explore there about our connections with the Atlantean energy. But good job showing up, man. I'm proud of you, like getting out there like you are. I was like, man, he's going live, he's going live, he's going live. I'm over here like, I'm too tired to go live, and oh, but I have thoughts on this and that, and like, you know. But for maple, so we're doing readings now on the maple tree and what that species of tree can teach us. And I really love that we're getting this fire card here, this Four of Wands, because it's celebration, but it's also that stability. Now, in the oak tree reading, we were saying, hey, let's curb our spending. Let's not be too impulsive, right? And the maple tree reading is now showing us why, because we're to really celebrate the harvest. We want to also trust ourselves to conserve the resources when it's appropriate, right? And so, like I shared with you guys, I'm opening up into a bigger capacity to give and receive. When you do that, though, you have to be protected at the same time, especially with all the knowledge and wisdom that you carry, right? Because you can't have the enemy moving in on the flanks. And when I say enemy, I'm sorry, I'm not like, I know there's religious people use that in their terminology, but I'm talking about the hyperdimensional warfare stuff, okay? That's what I'm talking about. And you don't want that creeping in on your flanks, so you have to stay protected. So we've got like oak and maple are kind of working together from what I can see. In my area, I'm fortunate enough to have these two types of trees side by side, spread around, right? And oh my gosh, they're behind our house. We had an open property that someone bought, and they just took down a red oak, a huge red oak. Y'all, since I worked for an arborist company and they're certified and they're insured and everything, I know what it's supposed to look like when you take down a tree. And these were just like two guys, no hard hats, okay? He was wearing gloves. He was leaning into this huge oak with his chainsaw was too small. Leaning in like he had the chainsaw, like you're supposed to do the little pie piece, okay, and whatever. It was too high. So then when he had to go cut to put the little thing in on the other side, they didn't have the tree roped. You're supposed to put a rope. Well, actually, it was so big it could have been pieced out properly, by a trained arborist team. They didn't have any trucks out there. They had no, ladder truck or anything up there. Didn't have a rope in the tree. So it's like, you better hope you make that cut at the right angles. That tree doesn't go fall in a different direction than you want. They finally put the peg in and the wedge, and they got lucky. But it was sad. Like, it was a healthy oak too. I know they're going to probably build something there, but it made me sad. It like hurts me to watch. Number one, I thought, if that falls our way, is going to hit my fence, my neighbor's fence, my two neighbors' fence on either side. And I was looking at these guys, and they're not, like, I could tell they're not properly trained. They knew enough, but they didn't know everything they should know, and they got lucky. But it was, Girl Gone says, thank you, hon. Have a beautiful day. Bye, Girl Gone. You're off-grid living in Tucson. Ooh, nice. I'll have to check it out next time and talk to you next time about Tucson. I used to live in Flagstaff, Arizona. But anyway, the oak tree. I divert over to watching that tree come down. It was kind of sad. But it did not hit our fence, thank goodness. And it did not hurt those guys, because I was kind of worried about them too, because they're just kind of standing there looking at it, like leaning the chainsaw into it, like up here at this level. And I'm like, if that thing kicks back, it's coming like right here in his chest. Like, Anyway, I filmed the whole thing because I was like, you don't see this every day. And I want some proof of it if I need it. All right, let's see what else Maple has to acknowledge for us, for our Maple group, from the Shaman's Dream Oracle here. What are we learning from Maple? Yeah. Ooh, cool. We got number 22. All right, so 11 came up in the oak tree reading with the strength card, as was depicted in the Wildwood Tarot. And now we have number 22, the Fool's Embrace, transmuting pain. So Maple group, those of you who were gravitating toward Maple and manifesting in abundance in the harvest, maybe you got a little bit more than you bargained for, because the truth is you're grieving, you're mourning an older version of yourself, perhaps, older ways of doing things that outdated, outgrown ways. But the Fool brings in this new energy. But in order to step in and launch into the new energy, you have to transmute that pain. You truly have to reach that 0 point within yourself to find the balance that the heron has when it stands on the one leg, right? And so, yes, there's celebration here. Yes, the harvest is going to come in, but it won't come in as powerfully and as stably as if you're actually doing the work and paying attention to the energies that need to be grieved, the regrets. Okay, so transmuting the pain, we have to embrace that and work through that so that we can then take off and fly and have this celebration, right? 2 + 2 is 4. We got the 22 master number here, the 4 of bows here, the 4 of wands. Wands are about transformation as well. So directly, maple tree species is teaching us that directly connected to our abundance and the harvest coming in, it's about transmuting the pain, right? And we do so because oak already taught us that we do that in a protected, strong, endearing way for ourselves. So we need both. If you skip straight to the maple reading, go back and listen to oak too, because that protection is so important. It really truly is about doing the work, the real inner work, so that you do not create the loosh in the energetic field. You know, there's so much loosh energy out there. And some people are so looshed out or raked out in these energies, these inversions, that it's just a constant cyclone of loosh and harvest. And we as magicians, as mages, as wizards, right? We cannot allow that to happen to ourselves. We cannot allow that. And so we defend our keep, right? We are going to process the energy and we're going to transmute it in harmony with nature, with the planet. We're going to do that in a shamanic way, right? We're going to do that in our magical way. We're not going to get spun in the spin cycle of these inversions. So as you're out there and you're connecting with these maple trees, they're letting you know, in order for, you know, you don't want a harvest of some, like it's like the difference between building a stable future for yourself. Some people call it generational stability or wealth, right? Versus winning lottery money. Lottery money is a harvest, but what did it harvest? And you have to literally clean that if that's how it comes in for you, right? That money has to be cleaned. Versus what are you building that's maybe not even connected only to money, but what are you building for the long term? Some of you might be growing your own plants, your own food. Jason and I right now, we've got spearmint going. Pretty easy to grow that. It loves to take over, right? But we're getting some indoor grows ready because he grows cannabis and cultivates that. He's a cultivator. But along with that, we're having some herbs, we're doing some cucumbers because we have some nice tents and we'll be able to have a harvest over winter. So for some of you, it's about doing something like that and having that ready and available to you. And we got tomatoes and lettuce. Yeah, we might have to redo the lettuce. Oh, and the cilantro. Love cilantro. It's a blood cleaner, by the way. Remember in the very beginning when we got, where did it go? The blocked energy for the fruit that we were talking about, for the divine connection being blocked, that creator source, higher force, will force connection being blocked. That's where the cilantro cleans the blood. It clears the blood. So if you like cilantro, I love it. I'm one of the people who loves it. I love the way it tastes. I love the way it smells. I always want extra cilantro, okay? I put it in smoothies. I put it in everything. I love it. Love cilantro so much. If you're a cilantro fan, let me know. But yes, we're growing some of our own veggies alongside the medicine, the cannabis medicine. All right. Let's get into cedar. Our cedar tree species reading here, Sacred sacred connections, healing, purification, and our soul's purpose. This is the Wildwood Tarot. Ooh, 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 ooh. Love it, love it, love it. Today, the universe is kind of backing up the energies that I attributed to these tree species, which is so much great confirmation. The Ace of Bows, the Ace of Wands, the spark of life. This is being ignited by the higher force. Okay. This is your connection, right? Which we're working on protecting and upholding. With Oak was teaching us that. Cedar says this is allowing yourself to be ignited by the higher force. This is pulling the arrow, notching, pulling that bow back. This is Sagittarius energy. We had a Saggy on here earlier. Spark of life. This is where you're ignited by something that is you and that's greater than you at the same time, what I call the greater being. It's where all the parts of you come together and receive that beautiful, powerful energy. It's your inspiration. It's your motivation. It's what drives you. And so those of you who have chosen Cedar, you're connecting with this, or you have the desire to, and you're working on it, right? Maybe there's a little clearing, a little grieving, a little something like Maple was showing us that needs to happen. So maybe we can use the wisdom of Maple and Cedar together here so that we can have this spark. I'm getting lots of Robin Hood vibes here, you know, bringing balance to situations, to our own energies first, and then to the situations that surround us. Some of you are doing this in a very connected way, which is beautiful, because if you're ever stopping by this channel, on this channel, hanging out as a creator on the Crest, you are, and you have already done some amazing healing work, light work, shadow work, all of it, right? You've already integrated a lot. What is next? What are you going to spark next? It's your inner muse. It's your creativity. And then we got the Seven of Wands, clearance. I love that it says clearance here, and I love the fact that I've just cleared things out of my life and garage sailing and all that. The Seven of Wands typically in traditional tarot can represent like a bit of a defense position, but also like a higher perspective. But here we have clearance. We're actually like clearing the way for ourselves. And we've got that fire, that clearing energy coming up here. This is the purification that I was feeling with the cedar energy. Purifying. So there are 6 wands leaning up against this gorgeous tree trunk here. The bow and the axe are laid down. Where are we using that 7th wand? Was the 7th wand used to build the fire of transformation within ourselves so that we can burn out what's no longer needed, so that when we set out and we have this ignition, this ace, this higher force connection, stimulate us, activate us, that we're clear. The path is clear. And what's so cool here is we've got some support, spiritual support. We got number 5, the ancestor. This is also the illustration on the deck box. Number 5, change through spiritual transformation. This is the Hierophant. This is your spiritual authority, and you're gonna beat that drum. You're marching to the beat of your own drum. There's a triskele on the drum. Celtic symbol. Maiden, Mother, Crone, the Trinities. Creator, Source, higher force, ignition, your will force, your action in the world, all swirling together on that drum. The Hierophant here is standing in the winter snow. The cedar tree, evergreen, right? An evergreen. Standing evergreen through the seasons, even when things are barren and cold. Stag energy, powerful energy, king of the forest kind of energy. You have your spiritual authority online. If you've tuned into Cedar and you were feeling this, when I described the breakout, the different breakout readings, you have, and you will continue to be in your spiritual authority. This also, like practically speaking, some of you, it would be important to go on winter hikes. Get yourself a nice pair of boots, some sorels or something. I've got these massive sorels, okay, that I use when I shovel snow and stuff like that. But I can hike in them too. Might make my legs work a little harder, but they keep my feet dry and warm. Get yourself a nice pair of boots. And don't be afraid to get out in the snow a little. Challenge yourself a little this year. This winter, as you overwinter. If we get snow, who knows what's going to happen, right? The ancestor. You are the ancestor. Okay? That's what I get. This is not ancestors outside of yourself. This is you depicted as the ancestor, as the spiritual force here, as the spiritual authority, the Hierophant. Command it. Command it. You deserve it. This is your purpose. It's sacred. It's connected to your mission for some of you. What you're here to do. How you're here to wield your energy. And again, I'm getting that, like, that's what you do when you draw the circle of the magician. You're commanding your energetic field. You are the commander of that field. And it allows you to see what's gotten in that you need to clear out. And it lets you see where your edges and your boundaries are to keep the other stuff out, right? The raked out spirals of inversions that are out there. Now, what's really cute here is we got this cute card from the Shaman's Dream Oracle for Cedar here, for sacred healing, purification, and soul's purpose. And it kind of harkens me back a little bit to the maple reading that we just did, and the colors in here kind of give me that vibe. But it's benefactor, number 3, grace and generosity. Look at that little, that little mouse. It's like a little king and queen mouse couple. You know what's funny? Like, oh, this is making me laugh. I worked with a woman once, and she called God or creator source or whatever, like her sugar daddy. And that's what I get here with this benefactor card, the sugar daddy kind of vibe. I mean, these are happy little mice. They're sitting on a mushroom. Flowers are blooming. There's grace. There's generosity. But, you know, these things are not from a perspective of like, oh, it's coming up. Grace and generosity. And this is, you know, you guys know I'm working with the lack, layers of subconscious lack mentality. And it's very ancestral and it's very blood code stuff for me. It's deep. This is about commanding your energy. It's not about money, greed. Okay. It's not about being a sugar daddy from greed. It's like the sugar, that the sweetness that you live with as you're connected to your greater being in its full force, in the masculine and feminine being forces of nature that come into alignment together, side by side. This, you might see this like, oh, I'm the sugar daddy, and she's kind of nuzzled up to him, but he couldn't be that without her. behind every great man is a great woman, right? And even if you're not in a partnership with someone, this is about how you cultivate grace and generosity within yourself and that Trinity. Okay? So it's like the prince, the king, the elder, the maiden, the mother, the crone, creator, source, higher force, will force, alignment, number 3, our trinities there, in a beneficial way with grace and generosity. Grace is such an energy that the way I've always felt, it's like, if you imagine like the camera, you know how they did, cameras will do I forget what it's called, special kind of camera image where it captures movement of something growing over time, and then they put it into fast forward, they speed it up. Has a name. I'm not remembering it, but if somebody knows, you can put it in the chat. Grace to me is like a flower, a lotus flower unfolding, and it just unfolds perpetually. That's the energy of grace. It's a really powerful, beautiful energy to be in. That's why when we see things are graceful, they move, they flow, they sound, they feel that way, perpetually blooming into beauty. And generosity, this is that opening up to a greater gift, giving and receiving within ourselves, within our hearts. Doesn't necessarily have to be money exchange. Many different ways we can exchange energy, many different ways we can benefit from one another, to share, to gift. But I think this image is so cute. Oh my gosh, it's so funny and so cute. And they're all like all nuzzled up. Because it makes you feel good. When you are able to give your time, your energy, maybe resources and money to someone, it makes you feel good. You receive as you give. And then as they receive, they give. There's an exchange there, and it's a wonderful, beautiful cycle, and it becomes a flow. And I think a lot of us, that's what we're going for. But what happens is we run into these subconscious patterns of lack and scarcity and you know, the things that have us like questioning the system and all of that. And we bump into all that, and we have like that inner battle, right? Where it's like, but I want to be in this energy where everything's warm and inviting, and it's blooming and flowing, and it's going and it's growing, right? And life has its up and downs. It's not always going to feel like that, but can we connect with this energy enough and carry enough of this in our heart core essence to really pave the path on which we walk? And I think from cedar, which is evergreen, it's a beautiful message. It's about being evergreen, and green is also connected to the heart energy, right? I've got green on the lights back here because we're talking about trees today. So I love the message Cedar has left us with today. Just a reminder for anyone, if you haven't dropped a thumbs up yet on the video, please do so. You can always come back after you have a chance to let some of the energies in the readings ruminate. If you want to come back and put a comment after the live is published, that always helps. I would love to, know what your summary is of how you felt about this. And I've had some of you do that, and I really, really appreciate that. And I love to see your comments after the fact as well. And so if you so feel called, I would love to hear from you. Maybe come back. You don't have to rewatch everything, but just drop a comment. Just say, wow, I was really feeling this, or this really stood out to me, or these energies is what I got out of it. This is what I got, because you're who I'm here for, right? You're why I do this. Those of you showing up and participating and engaging. And I appreciate you. And for everything that you give to me, your time, your energy, your listening ear, I wish you all those beautiful blessings 1,000-fold back to you. So may this generosity and this grace find you in a very beneficial way in your life. Stay tuned. October is going to be the month I kind of get back into things. I've got some editing to do. And I've got, I'm going to get back on track with the lives. We've got October 5th and 19th are going to be our live Q&A where you can come in and ask a question 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time if you'd like to ask a personal question and get a free mini reading. Stay tuned to my stories on Instagram. That's where I usually post things. That's probably one of the first places other than YouTube you might see something. And there's gonna be more coming out. All right, so September was one heck of a month, but I'm really feeling the call to be back on track. I got redirected. I'm not gonna be doing garage sales anymore. I won't say ever, ever, never, ever, because you never know down the road. But for now, there's gonna be a lot of gifting, a lot of releasing, a lot of clearing, right? And this is gonna free up more time for me to focus here on the channel and focus on y'all and what you'd like to hear and go deeper into these energies. And my, do we go deep, right? So stay tuned, stay true, and keep creating, creators. I love you all. Have a beautiful day and an amazing weekend. I will see you next time.